There's been a post going around the internet that exposes many of the iconic moments from Jersey Shore as fake, from staging fights to the infamous scene of Snooki hitting a cop car. You guys will never believe the crazy truth behind these legendary Jersey Shore moments. One of the very first comments the post made about the show was the fact that not all of the cast members had real nicknames. Snooki, whose real name is Nicole Pelosi, admitted that she was never called Snooki before the show started. She said that while submitting her application to possibly be on the show, there was a space for her to put a nickname, and she didn't want to leave it blank, so she and her friend felt like they had to put something down, and the friend just randomly put down Snooki, which was just supposed to be something silly and not to be taken seriously. But all these years later, Snooki is a household name due to the success of the show, and whether she likes it or not, she's stuck with the nickname now. The other cast members like Jenny Farley, who goes by JWoww for example, had already been known by their nicknames in the years before the show, so it's not like everyone's nicknames were fake, but in Snooki's case, it definitely was. On top of the fake nicknames, most of them also aren't really from New Jersey. In fact, many of them aren't even Italian American, which was the whole idea of the show in the first place. Sammy G. Nicola and Dina Nicole Cortez were the only cast members who were actually born in New Jersey. Both Vinny Guadagnino and Mike Sorrentino are from Staten Island, New York. JWoww and Snooki are also from New York, and Ronnie Ortiz Magro is from the Bronx in New York. But the furthest of them all has to be Pauly D, who was originally born in Rhode Island. So even though many of the cast members were from the general area, only 2 of them could claim real loyalty to New Jersey. And interestingly enough, being from Jersey was a huge part of the show, and it was something that the characters often took pride in. While many of the cast members were raised in Italian American households, Snooki is actually from Chile. She was later adopted by an Italian American couple, but being Italian isn't her actual background. And JWoww isn't Italian either. She's actually part Spanish and Irish. Between the fake nicknames, not all of them being Italian, and the fact that most of them aren't even from Jersey, it definitely raises some concern. While the show is loosely based on real life, there's no doubt that the producers had their hand in the way they wanted to present it. And whether or not the cast members actually were who they said they were didn't seem to matter all that much at the end of the day. But if the show was willing to lie about the basics of the cast members, it's highly possible that they were also willing to lie about other things. In the online post, it was also claimed that Pauly D wasn't the loud person that he appeared to be on camera. While it makes sense that many of them might exaggerate their personalities in order to be more interesting on TV, it seems like Pauly D's on-screen persona was completely fake. Many people who know him personally or have at least met him in person say that he's actually incredibly quiet. Even though he's known for being one of the loudest cast members, by all accounts, it looked like he's actually extremely chill and mostly keeps to himself, which is definitely an interesting choice. And it really seems like it would be difficult to keep up with for years. But once again, there's no doubt that all the producers had a hand in creating this image for Pauly D. There's definitely a stereotype of Italian American families having extremely loud and outgoing personalities, and Jersey Shore played that into the stereotype and even helped push it further. So it just wouldn't really work to have a cast member who was super chill and quiet all the time, and it sounds like they really wanted to make sure Pauly D was as loud as possible. It definitely makes you wonder just what the other cast members might really be like behind the scenes. One of the most iconic scenes from the original Jersey Shore was when Snooki and Dina got into a car accident in Italy, but the online post claimed that this was one of the most staged scenes in the entire show and that they even blocked off roads in order to film it. Whether or not the whole thing was fake, it still had a real end result, which was Snooki actually losing her license. And while she continued to stay strong on the fact that the whole thing was real from the beginning, witnesses in Italy disagree. Witnesses claim that on top of the roads being blocked off, there were 2 camera crews filming the event. One was in the car following Snooki, and the other was on the ground, almost as if it was waiting for something. The witnesses even said that they saw Snooki drive at a very low speed right toward the police car, which was just sitting there. And apparently, once she hit the car, she continued to drive at the slow speed until the car eventually came to a stop. After the whole thing happened, Snooki wore a neck brace for several weeks, but it's strange that she would need that for such a minor collision. Either way, although Snooki might have felt like the whole thing was real, that doesn't necessarily mean that the producers didn't secretly have their hand in the incident. The online post also talked about the infamous note from season 2 being completely set up by the producers. The note situation was a major plot point for the show and caused a serious amount of drama for all of the castmates. One interesting fact about Jersey Shore was that they weren't allowed to have any pens or paper in the house, which is why the note was so surprising. Although JWoww and Snooki did write the note, the whole thing was supposedly pushed by the production team for the sake of creating a juicy storyline. When JWoww and Snooki wrote the note about Ronnie's infidelity, they figured Sammy would assume that the producers wrote it. But on top of allowing the cast members to write the note in the first place, they then told Sammy that they didn't write it at all, and even went as far as to tell her that it was one of the cast members who wrote it. This later led to one of the biggest fights in the history of the show and was a major success in terms of ratings, but it affected the cast members in a very real way and changed their relationships for a long time. At the end of the day, it's obvious that the producers had a show to make and they didn't seem to care about who they hurt in the process of making Jersey Shore. And while most of the cast members are still close to this day thanks to the show, it makes you wonder what their relationship would have been like if the producers didn't step in. Although the show was supposed to be rooted in reality, the most real season of the show was most likely the first one, since once it saw success, the producers knew that they had to keep making the show more and more dramatic and interesting to viewers. But anyway, what do you guys think about all this? Do you think that the producers playing a major role in manipulating the cast means that the show was fake? And what are your thoughts on the fact that most of the cast members aren't from New Jersey? Let me know in the comments below.